A challenge to the medical profession, found on page 271, according to accepted biblical knowledge. The first man, Adam, was created about 5,965 years ago. If one checks the chronology of his Bible, he will notice that the year 4004 BC is connoted at the time of the creation of Adam. See Genesis 1:1. Everyone knows that everything in the physical universe was created before God made man. The heavens, the earth, the seas, all forms of plant life, the sun, moon, and stars, the various forms of marine life, every winged fowl of the air, cattle, creeping things of the earth, and the beasts of the field were created before the first man, Adam, was created. Now, if man was God's last creation, how would he, man, be able to relate or tell about the creation of the rest of the universe? It would be necessary for Adam to be coexistent with God. That is, for him to be right alongside of God when the earth, the heavens, sun, moon, and other things were created. And two, since the sun and moon, the objects that are required to denote the passing of time, were created. On the so-called fourth day of the creation, how can one time the creation of the objects such as the earth, heaven, seas, and plant life which were created before the sun and moon were created? It takes the sun and moon to bring about night and day and mark the passage of time. Clocks and other timing devices were not yet invented. The answer to these questions lies in the fact that God showed Moses, who wrote the book of Genesis, the creation in its entirety in a vision atop Mount Sinai in 1491 BC. God called Moses up into Mount Sinai, and a cloud covered the top of the mount for 6 days. Genesis 24:16-18. Moses entered into this cloud, which was synonymous to his entering into eternity. God dwelt in the cloud, and during the 6 days that he was in the cloud, God showed him the creation of the universe, which had occurred over 2,500 years before Moses was born. These are the 6 solar days that are recorded in Genesis. Thus, the whole creation took place in the realm of eternity and cannot be timed. Thus, it is futile for medical scientists to attempt to find out how long man has existed on the face of the earth. It has been necessary to bring out the preceding facts to point up the fact that medical science has done little to prove or disprove the fact that man was made in the likeness and image of God. Whether we use 5,965 years ago as denoting the first appearance of man, or admit that we cannot time his appearance. Medicine as a science is only about 400 years old, and it has only been in the past 100 years that we have begun to learn anything about the human form. Henry Gray, the brilliant English anatomist, gave us our first comprehensive discourse on the anatomical structure of the physical body. Years later, the circulation of the blood was described by Harvey. What has mankind been doing all the rest of the time since his creation that he has not found out more about himself than he has until just a few years ago? If man is so wise, what has kept him from discovering the mysteries of the human body? Has it not been that these things have been hid from us by the Lord God until these last days to suit his own purpose? Did not Jesus say, "I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, that thou hast hid these things from the wise and prudent, and hast revealed them unto babes? Even so, Father, for so it seemed good in thy sight." Luke 10:21. Now, if God has purposely hid these things from us until these times, from whence cometh the bragging and sticking out of the chest in reference to the so-called progress that medical science has made? The progress which has been made has been allowed of God and is not of man's doings or efforts. Therefore, man can only take credit for his medical discoveries by realizing that God is the author of all things. And when he realizes this, he doesn't want to take the credit at all. No medical man should be ignorant of the fact that there have been no greater medical cures performed anywhere in the world than those recorded in the Bible, and performed by God through his prophets and apostles. All manner of diseases and infirmities have been healed by the power of God working through his appointed ones. The priests were the first divine appointees as far as attending to the sick is concerned. And as far as God is concerned, he has not to this very day separated the healing of the soul from the healing of the body as two functions performed by two different persons. The trouble is that the so-called man of God has gone so far from God that he no longer possesses this gift, and the men who are now called physicians have just sprung up to take over the role of healing without a knowledge of God, who made and created the very thing that he labors over, the physical body. If God made the physical man, and one calls himself attending to the needs of the man, since God still lives, it would seem logical to me that one should have contact at all times with God that is. God dwelling in him would make him more than superior to any medical situation that he might encounter. Did Jesus ever tell any of the sick and maimed that he encountered to go to a physician? Did not his disciples also heal the sick? Consider the following verse in 2 Chronicles 16:12. And Asa in the 39th year of his reign was diseased in his feet, until his disease was exceedingly great. Yet in his disease he sought not to the Lord, but to the physicians. Asa, king of Israel, was rewarded by the Lord God with death from his disease, because he relied on the physicians rather than the Lord. For the Lord saith, Cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from the Lord. Jeremiah 17:5. And blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, and whose hope the Lord is. Jeremiah 17:7. If the medical profession should just realize that all things are of God, and without him, man is powerless and helpless, and if it would give God the glory for such things as it is able to do, it would overnight save mankind more physical suffering than it has been able to do since its incipiency, and would at the same time convert many souls to Christ, which is really true healing, not for a lifetime, but for eternity.